You are currently operating under a massive, devastating illusion. You believe that if you are accommodating, if you are agreeable, and if you continuously sacrifice your own boundaries to make other people comfortable, you will eventually be rewarded with respect. You think your daily sacrifices are buying loyalty. Look around you. Look at the way people casually dismiss your opinions in a room. Look at the way your business associates, your clients, or even your closest social circle feel perfectly comfortable making you wait. They cancel plans at the last minute. They boldly negotiate your prices down. They speak over you in important conversations. You are practically bleeding yourself dry trying to be the ultimate team player. And in return, you are treated like an absolute beginner in the game of life. This is not a mistake. This is not a misunderstanding. This is the direct, biological consequence of choosing to be loved rather than choosing to be respected. Over 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote a political manifesto that stripped away all the moral illusions of human behavior. He asked a very simple, brutal question: is it better to be loved or feared? His answer was absolute. While it is theoretically pleasant to be both, if you are forced to choose, it is always vastly safer to be feared. In the modern world, especially in business, finance, and high-value social dynamics, fear does not mean threatening people with physical violence. It does not mean throwing screaming tantrums or acting like an emotional tyrant. Modern fear is much colder. It is the psychological terror of your strategic absence. It is the heavy, undeniable realization that your presence is a premium asset, and you are perfectly willing to withdraw it permanently the second you are disrespected. Let us examine the exact psychology of why your current strategy of being nice is fundamentally flawed. When you try to make people love you, you hand them all of your power. Love, affection, and approval are completely voluntary. They depend entirely on the other person's mood, their current needs, and their shifting desires. When someone knows you are desperate for their approval, they realize they hold the leash. They know that no matter how poorly they treat you, you will always come back smiling and ready to serve. Because you are terrified of conflict, you have become a free resource. And human beings, by their very biological nature, do not respect what is free. We only respect what carries a heavy cost. We only respect what we are afraid to lose. Consider the classic economic paradox of water and diamonds. Water is absolutely essential for human survival. Without it, you die in a matter of days. Yet it is virtually free. We waste it, we spill it, and we leave the tap running without a second thought. Why? Because it is abundant. It is predictable. It is everywhere. Diamonds, on the other hand, have almost zero practical utility. You cannot eat them, you cannot drink them, and they will not keep you warm. Yet, men will bankrupt themselves to acquire one. Why? Because they are rare, they are cold, and they are incredibly difficult to obtain. When you are constantly nice, you are acting like water. You are essential, you do all the heavy lifting, but you are treated as completely disposable. To command absolute obedience, you must become the diamond. You must become hard, scarce, and incredibly expensive to acquire. Think about a professional scenario that happens every single day. You are working with a client or a business partner. They ask you to do a little extra work outside the original financial agreement. Because you want them to like you, and because you want to secure a long-term relationship, you agree. You do the extra work for free. You respond to their emails at midnight. You answer their calls on your day off. You think you are proving your immense value, but look at what actually happens next. They do not thank you profusely. They do not suddenly offer to pay you double for your dedication. Instead, they begin to expect it. Your late-night availability is no longer a favor. It becomes their baseline expectation. And the very first time you finally stand up for yourself and say no, they get angry with you. They treat you as if you have broken a promise. By giving away your value for free, you did not buy their loyalty. You bought their contempt. You taught them that your time is worthless and that your boundaries are made of paper. To force absolute obedience and command true respect, you must completely destroy this behavioral pattern. You must adopt the Machiavellian mindset. This requires a total psychological transition from seeking affection to establishing emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty means you no longer care if the room likes you. You only care if the room respects your boundaries. You stop trying to manipulate people into loving you through acts of service, and you start conditioning them to fear your selective absence. The first step in this transition is understanding the concept of the unpredictable reward. In the realm of psychology, predictable rewards create boredom and absolute entitlement. If you are always available, always smiling and always helpful, your approval means absolutely nothing. You must make your approval, your attention, and your resources incredibly scarce. When you enter a negotiation or a business meeting, you must project a profound sense of detachment. You are not there to make friends. You are there to conduct business and protect your empire. When someone speaks to you, do not immediately nod and smile to make them feel comfortable. Look them directly in the eye. Let a full second of heavy, uncomfortable silence pass before you answer. Speak slower. Use fewer words. By simply slowing down your reactions, you communicate that you are not anxious for their approval. You create a physical, psychological weight in the room. This strategic coldness is incredibly disorienting to people who are used to easily manipulating others. When they realize that their usual tricks, their demands for extra favors, their subtle disrespect are bouncing off your armor, they will begin to feel a deep sense of unease. This unease is the very beginning of Machiavellian fear. They will suddenly realize that you are not playing the same game they are. You are not desperate for their validation. And because you are not desperate, you are profoundly dangerous. In the second stage of this masterclass, we are going to dive deep into the exact mechanics of establishing this fear. We will explore the law of selective absence and how to brutally cut off access to your energy when someone crosses the line. I will show you how to execute the total freeze maneuver, a tactic so psychologically devastating that it will permanently rewrite the power dynamics of any relationship or business deal you are currently losing. The era of the nice guy is completely over. The era of the shadow player begins now. The Machiavellian mindset is not restricted to the boardroom or the financial sector. It is the absolute, invisible current running through every single human interaction you will ever have. It dictates the dynamic between lovers, between lifelong friends, and within family structures. Human nature is universal, and the laws of power do not suddenly stop working just because you are in a romantic relationship or a casual social setting. In fact, it is within our closest, most intimate relationships that we make our most fatal strategic errors, because we have been conditioned by romantic movies and sentimental culture to believe that true love or real friendship requires unconditional forgiveness. We drop our defenses entirely. We allow our closest people to cross lines they would never dare cross with a stranger. And when they do, our typical reaction is entirely predictable, highly emotional, and completely devoid of power. When a partner starts pulling away, acting cold, or taking your presence for granted, or when a friend makes a deeply disrespectful comment disguised as a joke, your biological instinct is to react. You want to fix the situation immediately. You feel a surge of anxiety or a flash of anger, so you confront them. You raise your voice. You write a long, emotionally charged text message explaining exactly how much they hurt you, or you demand an immediate apology. You believe that by showing them your anger and your pain, you are showing strength. You think you are standing up for yourself. This is a massive psychological miscalculation. In the dark psychology of power dynamics, anger is not a weapon. Anger is a reward. Anger is a confession of absolute weakness. When you scream, when you argue, and when you eagerly explain your pain, you are handing the other person a certified receipt that proves they control your emotional state. You are telling them, your actions dictate my reality. You have the power to destroy my peace. A Machiavellian thinker understands that the moment you lose control of your emotions, you have lost the war. To command absolute obedience, you must stop punishing people with your anger and start punishing them with your absence. This brings us to the law of selective absence. Absence is the psychological equivalent of cutting off the oxygen supply to a fire. When you are always present, always available to argue, and always willing to engage in the drama, you are constantly feeding the fire of disrespect. People adapt to your presence. They become numb to it. They factor your predictable emotional outbursts into their daily routine. But when you deploy selective absence, you completely shatter their reality. You create a terrifying silent void that their brain desperately tries to fill. Let us observe exactly how to execute this in a highly personal scenario. Imagine a romantic partner or a close friend who has recently started to disrespect your boundaries. They have become dismissive of your time. They ignore your messages for hours but are actively posting on social media. When you are together, they are distracted, looking at their phone, giving you only a fraction of their attention. The classic weak response is to chase them. It is to ask, "Is everything okay? Are you mad at me? Why are you acting like this?" This desperate pursuit only strokes their ego and confirms your position at the bottom of the power hierarchy. Instead, you are going to execute the total freeze maneuver. The next time they ignore you, cancel plans, or give you minimal effort, you do not complain. You do not send a sarcastic message. You do not block them in a fit of rage, because blocking someone emotionally is still a loud reaction. You do something infinitely more terrifying. You completely match their energy, and then you drop the temperature to absolute zero. You stop initiating contact entirely. If they send you a generic, low-effort message 12 hours later, you do not reply for a full day. And when you do reply, you send a response so brief, so emotionally barren, and so clinically polite that it sends a shiver down their spine. You do not use emojis. You do not ask follow-up questions. You answer their literal question with a single word, and then you disappear again. You must understand the psychological devastation this causes. Their brain has mapped out your entire personality based on your past behavior. They fully expected you to be needy. They expected the double text. They expected the emotional paragraph. But instead of an explosion, they walked into an empty room. Because you have removed all emotional data from the interaction, their imagination takes over. And a human being's imagination is always vastly more terrifying than reality. They will immediately begin to panic. Why aren't they angry? Why aren't they chasing me? Do they know something I do not know? Have they found someone better? By remaining completely silent and strategically aloof, you have transferred all of your anxiety onto their shoulders. They are now the ones constantly checking their phone. They are now the ones analyzing your every move. You have completely flipped the script without uttering a single word of complaint. This is the essence of emotional sovereignty. You are proving through your actions that your life is a fortress. If someone brings warmth, loyalty, and respect into your fortress, they are welcome to stay. But the exact second they bring disrespect or take your warmth for granted, you do not negotiate with them. You simply lower the gates, raise the drawbridge, and leave them standing outside in the freezing cold. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your absence when their presence was disrespectful. The total freeze is not a manipulative game played for amusement. It is a necessary, highly effective boundary enforcement mechanism. It trains people on a subconscious level that your attention is incredibly expensive. It teaches them that the penalty for disrespect is not a temporary argument, but the total and terrifying withdrawal of your premium existence. But maintaining this freeze requires an iron will. Eventually, the person who disrespected you will break under the pressure of your silence. They will attempt to re-enter your life. They will try to test the waters to see if you are still angry, or if they can easily regain access to your energy. In the third part of this psychological breakdown, we are going to explore the critical phase of the return. I will show you exactly how to handle their attempts to come back, how to avoid falling into their emotional traps, and how to permanently solidify your position of dominance so they never dare to test your boundaries again. When you successfully execute the total freeze, you initiate a psychological countdown in the mind of the person who disrespected you. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with unresolved tension, especially when they are the ones who have suddenly lost control of the narrative. Because you denied them the predictable argument, the tears, and the emotional closure they were expecting, their ego begins to fracture under the weight of the silence. They cannot simply walk away because walking away from an entirely silent, unbothered opponent feels like a humiliating defeat. They desperately need to know if they still hold any power over your emotional state. And so, predictably, they will return. But you must be acutely aware that this initial return is almost never an act of genuine repentance. It is a calculated reconnaissance mission. It is a psychological test, and how you handle this exact, critical moment will permanently define the power dynamic for the rest of your relationship. Think about how a toxic friend, a manipulative partner, or an entitled associate reaches out after days of your freezing silence. They do not send a heartfelt apology detailing their mistakes. That would require destroying their own ego and admitting defeat. Instead, they send out a probe. They send a funny video. They ask a random, completely trivial question like, "Did you see what happened on the news today?" Or, "Do you remember the name of that restaurant we went to last month?" They act as if absolutely nothing happened. They casually stroll up to the gates of your fortress, completely ignoring the disrespect they previously caused, just to see if you have quietly unlocked the doors for them. They are testing the fence for a weakness. If you respond to this probe with your usual warmth, if you laugh at their joke, or if you immediately engage in their trivial conversation to avoid feeling awkward, you have just committed a fatal strategic error. You have taught them that your boundaries are an absolute illusion. You have proven that your silence was not a permanent standard of self-respect, but merely a temporary emotional tantrum. You teach them a terrifyingly destructive lesson. They can treat you like garbage. Wait 3 days, send a meaningless text message, and get full access to your premium energy all over again. By doing this, you are actively rewarding their disrespect with your free forgiveness. You are training them to abuse you. To maintain your emotional sovereignty and enforce the Machiavellian mindset, you must treat their reconnaissance mission with absolute clinical indifference. You do not ignore the message completely, because ignoring it entirely gives them a convenient excuse to play the victim. It allows them to say, "Well, I tried to talk to you, but you are being unreasonable." Instead, you answer their literal question, but you completely strip the response of all emotional nutrition. If they ask about a restaurant, you give them the name of the restaurant. You do not ask how they are doing. You do not use exclamation points. You do not use emojis. You give them a gray rock. You show them that the gate is still heavily guarded, the drawbridge is still up, and a cheap joke is absolutely not the currency required to enter your space. When they receive this gray, lifeless response, the panic sets in permanently. The reconnaissance mission has failed. They realize that the old rules they used to manipulate you no longer apply. The realization hits them like physical pain. You are actually prepared to lose them. This is the ultimate core of Machiavellian power. You must reach a point in your own psychological development where you are genuinely, completely willing to walk away from any relationship, any friendship, and any negotiation that does not serve your highest standard of respect. The moment someone senses that you are afraid to lose them, they will begin to exploit you. They will smell your fear of abandonment like blood in the water. But the exact moment they look into your eyes and realize that you are perfectly fine existing in a world without them, they will fear you. And out of that deep psychological fear, genuine absolute obedience is born. You become the diamond. You become the entity they are terrified to lose. Eventually, when their cheap probes and casual text messages fail to crack your armor, they will be forced to address the actual issue. They will break. They will ask why you are being so distant. They will ask what is wrong. This is the moment you have been waiting for. This is where you establish the new law. But again, you do not launch into an emotional monologue. You do not cry. You do not yell. You look at them with the calm, terrifying demeanor of a judge delivering a final sentence. You state the facts. entirely separated from your feelings. You say, I have absolutely no interest in spending my time with people who disrespect my boundaries, constantly cancel plans, or speak to me the way you did. If that is how you operate, we have nothing to discuss. Notice the cold architecture of that phrasing. You are not begging them to change. You are not asking them to treat you better. You are simply stating the terms of your reality. You are offering them a brutal choice: step up to my standard or disappear from my life forever. It is entirely up to them. By removing the emotional plea, you remove their ability to argue. You cannot argue with a brick wall. You cannot manipulate a person who clearly does not need your approval to survive. They are left standing in the harsh, freezing light of your standard, and they must make a decision. They must either earn their way back into your graces through consistent, respectful behavior, or they must leave. Either way, you win. You have successfully forced their hand. In the fourth and final part of this masterclass, we are going to talk about the ultimate evolution of this mindset. We will discuss how to maintain this terrifying aura of power effortlessly without becoming a bitter, isolated tyrant. I will show you how to balance this dark psychology with strategic warmth, creating an elite inner circle that operates on unbreakable loyalty, and how to permanently solidify your status as a highly respected shadow player. The complete mastery of the Machiavellian mindset does not mean you must walk through life as a paranoid, isolated dictator. If you are consistently cold, ruthless, and unapproachable to every single person you meet, you are not powerful. You are simply broken. The true master of dark psychology understands that absolute power is born from the flawless balance between terrifying distance and highly strategic warmth. Power is not solely defined by your ability to push people away and freeze them out. True, absolute power is defined by your ability to command their complete, unquestioning devotion when you finally decide to pull them in. Niccolò Machiavelli taught a brilliant principle regarding the distribution of favor. Injuries should be inflicted all at once, but benefits should be granted little by little. When you deploy the total freeze against someone who has disrespected you, you are dealing a swift, absolute psychological blow. You are establishing the baseline of fear. But when someone